Hey guys, Matt Donald here. I gotta be upfront about something. That episode that I was supposed to come out last month and the month before, the Dino Island and Sea Monsters: A Prehistoric Journey, they have not come out yet, as you can see. The reason why I'm so behind, and I truly apologize, is my anxiety is through the freaking roof and beyond, up to the stars and heavens. This damn election coming up in America. I am scared coprolightless. Excuse a bit of paleo humor. I really want Kamala Harris to win, and I really want Trump to lose. Normally, I wouldn't say specifically which candidate I'm for to keep things apolitical, but knowing the target audience of this podcast, it's about dinosaurs, it's about evolution, it's very non-young Earth, and we have some very progressive hosts. I figured I'm pretty safe letting you know up front that I really want Kamala to win and Trump to lose. So, yeah, I'm just really stressed out. It's getting in the way of all my writing and getting in the way of all my creative projects. The only reason why Paleobites has been able to go on, undisturbed by all this is because I kind of anticipated that this would happen, and I record enough that I have a backlog to make sure I have episodes all the way up to the election and beyond. So Paleobites will remain unaltered, but the Patreon itself I have been unable to sit down and do because of my anxiety. I'm being completely real here, no jokes. I've been talking to therapists. I believe in being very open about my mental health struggles, which is why I'm saying this here at the beginning of this episode. It's really a downer, guys. But yeah, to compensate for this, once the election is over, so mid-November, I promise you I will have 4 Patreon episodes available by mid-November. So the 2 that were supposed to come out last month, the 1 that's supposed to come out this month, and then November's as well. So 4 will come out all in a row. In fact, I might even make it 5 so that we're not just caught up, we're ahead. Because I owe you guys that. And I will feel better after the election, even regardless of who wins. Because, yes, obviously, there's one candidate I prefer to win over the other. But the anticipation, the unknowingness, the uncertainty of it, that's really what's adding to my anxiety. And once I know, I should be better enough to get back to work. And I plan to do that. So, yep. That's what's going on with the Patreon. So nothing this month, nothing up until November, but there will be 5 bonus episodes in November. If you would like to cancel your subscription because of that, I would totally understand, but it will be back, I promise you. Anyways, back to the show. What a great note to start on. Yeah, dinosaurs. Politics.
Roar. Growl. Snarl. Bellow.
Welcome to Paleobites, the podcast with an ego the size of T-Rex's body, but actual worth the size of T-Rex's arms.
Sounds about right.
My name's Matthew Donald. Each week I and a rotating series of guest co-hosts talk about and rate a genus of prehistoric animal, be it dinosaur, mammal, arthropod, and so on. This week I'm joined by someone with an ego about as big, but I think worth a little bit bigger than T-Rex's arms. It's Natasha Krech. How are you?
I'm well, you.
I'm pretty good. I mean, you've done crazy stuff. I have not. So
yeah, I've done crazy stuff, and you can debate the sanity of it all.
Well, yeah, that's true. But what are some of the crazy things you've done? I mentioned them on the show numerous times. You've hiked mountains. I mean, everyone here hikes mountains in Colorado, except me. But what was the one? There was something.
Let's see. Oh, I've done plenty hiking and backpacking. I've gone whitewater rafting down the Green River.
Didn't you want to do like that 500-mile?
That's on my list of crazy things to do to backpack the Colorado Trail all the way through.
Oh, cool.
500 miles? Yeah.
You walk 500 miles and back 500. Everyone makes that joke, I'm sure.
Yep. Well, it's pretty common in the U.S., but yeah, I drive big rigs.
Yes. Cool.
Haven't yet driven the U.S. equivalent of an Aussie road train, which is a turnpike double.
Right.
Which that's 2 48s or 53s linked together.
Oh, wow.
I've only seen it a couple times.
And I know that speaking of Aussies,
the Aussies 4 and 5 and 6.
Well, because they have to truck through the outback. Then there's like the period, isn't it, between like Adelaide and Perth or something? I
would have to check the group I'm part of. I accidentally ended up in a group on Facebook all about Aussie road trains because I liked 1 or 2 posts because I was fascinated.
Well, because it is fascinating. Australia's about the size of the continental U.S. but most of it's uninhabitable and most of it's uninhabited. Like Perth is like the biggest city in Western Australia. and it's like one of the only big cities there. I don't even know why it's there. I guess it's a port city for the Indian Ocean. I don't know. But like most cities are on the East Coast, like Sydney, or in the southern bits, like Melbourne and Adelaide. And then so they have to get supplies back and forth. And how you do it? You drive a truck through the outback all the way to Perth, and
no, they're not just trucks. Those are road trains.
Those are it's dangerous because if you break down, you are on your own.
Yes,
you are on your own. There's a reason Mad Max takes place in Australia. I love the fan theory that after the nuclear war, everyone else recovered, but Australia is just Mad Max. Like in the world of Mad Max, Australia is the way it is, but everywhere else is back to normal.
Let's be honest, I would love to see one up close, one of their road trains.
Their road trains, yeah.
One of my mentors in the trucking world says the same thing, and he's been a 20-plus year veteran of the industry. He said if it weren't such a process to go through, he'd go live down there for a while, specifically so he could learn to drive the road trains, because he's driven everything.
I love a good road train. Also, I love a good battle truck. I've seen, not just in Mad Max, there was like... do you ever watch Death Race?
Might have at one point.
It was a Jason Statham movie.
I watched a crazy Discovery series called Recreation Nation.
Oh, nice.
Spelled W-R-E-K.
That's pretty good. I like that pun. Death Race is basically like based off an older movie where like all these inmates fight. Oh, not fight. They don't fight. Well, they do fight a little bit, but they fight in their cars. They're these inmates in the prison. They do this thing called Death Race, which is like super popular in this post-apocalyptic world for ratings, where they race for their freedom, but they can kill each other and there's like weapons. But here they actually have a really clever way of doing like realistic versions of power-ups. So in their cars are rigged with weapons, but they can't access all of them. They're not on yet. But the way you turn them on is that you drive over these things on the road that like sort of like grates for like a sewer or whatever, but like it's like a button when you drive over it. It arms the device in your car that's already in your car.
Something like Super Mario.
It's basically a realistic version of power-ups in Super Mario. And I'm like, that's clever. So like I have these missiles, but I can't use. Oh, there's the missile thing. Drive over it. All right, missiles armed. Beep 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 beep. The reason I brought up Death Race, one of them for ratings, they bring in rather than all the cars racing, they bring in a third party where it's like a giant truck full of a giant rig. It's called like the Death Mother or the Mother Trucker or something. It's something like, I don't know what it is, but it's like a big truck just loaded with guns. It's just you have to take out the truck before you can win, otherwise you get shot. It's great. Anyways, yes, you do crazy things.
Yeah.
I'll see you in the next episode of Death Race when you're driving the Mother Trucker or whatever it's called.
Honestly, probably wouldn't be too far. Always trying things, always willing to fail. You know, life.
I feel like failing driving the Mother Trucker would lead to your death.
Probably.
So they would shoot you down, or they would.
Probably.
I don't know. Just all the trailers just loaded with Gatling guns, missile launchers. Pew, pew. Good stuff. Good stuff. It's directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, the director of the Resident Evil movies and a lot of other schlocky. Mortal Kombat movie. And
let's be honest, when I'm driving that thing, is probably just going to turn into Mel Brooks' Spaceball.
Oh, for sure. Well, then, like, the thing I love about Paul Thomas Anderson is that he's not to be confused with Paul T. Anderson, who's actually a really well-respected Oscar-winning director. So, anyways, not talking about any of that. We're talking about one that would make a great B movie because it's basically like a giant piranha-looking fish. It's called Gillicus, which means the Gilled One. Great job naming that thing.
Yeah, nice job there.
I wouldn't have thought it had gills until you so helpfully told me, paleontologist.
Right.
Gillicus.
Fish having gills? Wow.
What the hell? I thought they had lungs.
I mean, unless it's an African lungfish, but
I guess some of them have lungs too. But are they really lungs, or are they swim bladders that like kind of?
Oh, yeah, good point. But still, a fish having gills? What?
What the hell? All right, here's a picture of it.
Oh, yeah. Nice fins.
Yeah, pretty nice fins. It's an ichthyodectiform, a group of ray-finned fish that was the most diverse in the Cretaceous, although they were almost completely wiped out by the extinction, with only one species, Saurocephalus, clinging on a bit longer. Size, 6 to 6.6 feet / 1.8 to 2 meters long, which is actually relatively small for this group. Scary stuff. Diet's carnivore. Time, mid to late Cretaceous, 100 to 70 million years ago. Technically, it's a larger range than Quincana, as it's 30 million years rather than 24.91 million, like that genus. But since it's a longer ago, that doesn't feel as wide of a gap. Perspective is weird.
Yeah.
Location: North America, Europe, and East Asia, with fossils particularly prominent in the Western Interior Seaway, the inland sea that used to split North America in two. Described in 1898, pop culture appearances: Jurassic World: The Game, of course, Jurassic Park Builder, the National Geographic documentary Sea Monsters: A Prehistoric Adventure, and the children's book The Plesiosaur's Neck.
Yeah.
So here's the thing that Gillicus is most famous for. You know all those skeletons you see of Xiphactinus, the giant fish with a fish inside of it?
Yeah.
That fish inside of it is Gillicus. Gillicus is most famous for being the one that's eaten all the time.
So the one that dies first in the horror movies.
The one that finds, it's the fish that there's always a bigger fish for. The one that gets, it's always a bigger fished, from Phantom Menace, with so whenever you see a Gillicus chasing the Xiphactinus comes and eats it. And that's always a bigger fish. So,
yeah, sounds about right. There's got to be one of those in the animal kingdom.
But then the thing is, the Xiphactinus are really dumb for doing this because what happens, the reason why there's a skeleton of it is because the Gillicus struggled in the guts after being swallowed and rupturing the organs of its consumer. So they both died. It's like, I'm taking you with me. And we're going to be on display in a museum together forever. Apparently one of those I think might be on display at our local Denver Museum of Nature and Science.
I've heard, I think so, and
because there's a wall there with like a fish.
As
skeleton.
I recall, for a short time in the neck of the woods I grew up in Arvada, they either had one or a replica of one on display for a while.
It's just it's the fish most famous for getting vored, basically.
Yeah.
So the common name for this is the pugfish, thanks to its upturned snout, which is first coined by the 2021 children's book The Plesiosaur's Neck, which is kind of a fun fact. And here's another fun fact I remember when studying this creature. Technically speaking, we are fish.
I think I've heard something about that, but I haven't gone down that rabbit hole.
Lobed-finned fish. The group of fish opposite to the ray-finned fish that Gillicus and most monofish are what's known as sarcopterygians. And this group includes all tetrapod vertebrates that evolved from them, like amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. So like how birds are simultaneously in the class Avis and Reptilia, due to them also being considered theropod dinosaurs, which are in the Archosaur or superorder of reptiles. So therefore, they're reptiles as well as birds. Same with all tetrapods, including us being fish. So that meme template?
Yeah.
That's like, the small brain, the medium brain, the galaxy brain.
Yeah.
I can see a really good version of that where it's like the small brain is whales are fish. And then the normal brain is whales are mammals. And the galaxy brain, whales are fish.
Interesting how complex the tree of life actually is.
To be fair, it's all man-made definitions.
Yeah.
In evolution and nature doesn't care about us.
No.
It's kind of like,
really.
I don't get. You talked about this with a lot of astronomers like to fight over whether or not Pluto is a planet or not. It doesn't matter. It's the same object it's always been. It's just, what are we calling it?
Yeah, no, humans were always changing titles for things over
it's
the
like,
years.
It's not like Pluto's like, well, darn it, I'm not a planet anymore. I'm going to wander off over here out of the solar system. No, it's still there. It's the same as it's always been.
But when you look at it, it's just us trying to understand what's going on.
And we like to put things in patterns. And
we do. We are pattern-seeking creatures.
We love to, we see patterns in things that aren't always there. Like, we're very pattern-focused, and we like organizing things, and we like that kind of thing. That's very interesting in terms of how we evolve. But in terms of Gillicus, it's the vore fish, like I said. It had numerous small teeth lining its jaws. It ate small fish by sucking them in its mouth. How a goldfish does with a pea.
Yep.
The teeth of Gillicus are actually so small they appear almost toothless, which, as some people suggest, that Gillicus is also a filter feeder then. Also, one thing, like almost all the specimens just collected and have been adults or subadults, particularly in the Smoky Hill Chalk, which is an area where they are often found, which implies that their early stages of their life are spent elsewhere. So maybe they're like salmon, and that they spend some life in the fresh water and then go to the ocean. Or maybe they just migrate like animals tend to do.
Yeah. Migratory makes sense. And well, we all know how imperfect the fossil record can be, right?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. It's amazing how migratory works. You know monarch butterflies, when they do their migration from Mexico to Canada, which is incredible because they're so little and they go such a long way. It's also the fact that it takes them so long, it takes multiple generations just to get them up there.
Which is incredible.
But they just know through genetic memory or instinct exactly where to go.
Yeah.
Like, it's incredible. So it's nature's, the one. If listeners can get anything from this dumb podcast, it's how incredible nature is. If there's anything sincere to get from this silly show, I want people to think just how wonderful nature is.
Nature really is wonderful.
Wonderful, creative.
Even if you're just going out in your backyard to watch the birds and the butterflies in your local neighborhood,
Yep,
that's still getting outside and enjoying it.
I mean, like,
you don't have to do backwoods stuff like.
And then also, one thing I've always found interesting about nature in that regard is that cities are kind of their own biome now.
They really have become their own biome.
And I mean, it's interesting because it's so recent that this isn't a biome that has animals that have evolved specifically to adapt to it. These are animals that have already the way they are, and they happen to be perfect
there's
for
animals
cities.
Adapting very quickly. Red-tailed hawks are adapting
or they're just
fast.
they have their adaptations are perfect for that kind. So there's some while cities obviously destroy a lot of populations of other animals, some populations increase with cities, particularly like obviously rats and pigeons, but even like raccoons. Raccoons have gone way up with urbanization.
Incredibly intelligent little buggers.
Yeah, no, raccoons and certainly like hawks, like peregrine falcons, perfect. Like cities are their own little biome in nature. Like,
and I imagine in coming century we'll see city-specific breeds of these animals.
I had an idea for a future for a speculative evolution sort of thing. I thought it'd be kind of interesting to go and like talk about animals in the future, like a lot of people tend to do, like Future is Wild and such. But one of the things I would do would be like after humans have gone, how certain animals that have already evolved certain ways would live in a non-human world. And one of the things I thought would be interesting, because this is actually true, birds are getting louder because they have to be to get rid of all the noise, the traffic pollution, the noise of traffic and other sort of stuff. So if they want to be heard, their songs are much have higher in decibel count than they were before cars.
Have you heard a blue jay scream?
Right. So, and I'm imagining this like maybe a couple thousand years after humans have gone extinct, but the birds that have evolved to have louder calls, they're still louder. So what they use it for now, I'm imagining, is to stun insects.
Why not?
Because they're louder, but there's no cars anymore, so it doesn't need to. It was like,
I think there was a really cool documentary. I think Discovery Channel may have done.
Oh, you're talking about Life After People?
Yeah, I love that one. All the things they talked about with animals in the cities and how they were adapting to the previously urban.
I love the thing that's like dogs would die out, but cats would be fine.
I mean, with how much we've domesticated so many breeds of dog, there's so many that are so dependent on us.
If some of the dogs that would survive would be the ones that would be the closest to wolves.
Yeah.
So, and like the dogs, if dogs would survive,
guardians,
they would kind of revert back to wolves, kind of the one they would.
I can think of the dogs with high prey drives. So your huskies, your malamutes, your livestock guardians.
Yeah.
They'd be fine, but things like chihuahuas and dachshunds, probably not, unless they evolved specifically to hunt rodents.
Well, cats, it makes sense that they would do
cats
it. Cats are fine. They're like they domesticated themselves.
Yeah, that's like, the common theory, right?
Well, it's actually pretty close to being true because like what they think is like, see, dogs, the way they evolved. I think this shows how little there is to talk about with Gillicus that we bring this up, but I think it's definitely true. Dogs, when they evolved, is because the wolves and the cavemen were hunting the same creatures. And so we were like, why don't we team up so that we don't compete amongst ourselves and we both each have a better chance of survival. That's kind of where the story between humans and dogs first started. And now for cats, it started a little bit later. It was when we first were developing agriculture. So about 10,000 years ago, so a little bit after the Ice Age ended, we first started building cities and started building agriculture, the dawn of farming.
So an increase in rodent population.
An increase in rodent population, exactly, which brought the cats. And so, and then the humans were like, we'll just leave these cats here. They're eating our rats. So they're taking care of our pests. So why not? And the cat's like, I guess I'll stick around. And that's why we have cats. If they just happened to show up with
At some point, I want a cat.
Really? Actually, no, I can see that.
I want a cat.
My fiance, her family has 5 cats right now. Wow. They're all great.
In spite of a minor allergy, I want a cat. I like their independence.
Yeah.
I
like cats, but I also like birds, and you can't have a cat and a bird.
No.
So, like, I will stick with my bird. But yeah, let's.
At the moment, I have a lizard, and my family has dogs.
Gotcha.
So the lizard wouldn't be good with cats. But
no, you just see a lizard tail getting sucked up into the cat's.
Well, it's a very plump lizard tail.
Oh, that's true.
I have a leopard gecko. Her name is Isis, the Egyptian goddess.
Yeah, Egyptian goddess, not the terrorist organization.
She's bright yellow.
Yeah. Not the Egyptian goddess.
Beautiful little lizard, but yes.
Gotcha.
In the future, someday, I do want a cat.
Oh, cool. Well, I would like a Gillicus. Let's rate Gillicus 1 out of 65 million. I'm going to give it. I mean, look, it's funny that it's eaten a lot, but I'm going to give it like 15 million or 14 million. Because it's just a big vore eating. Well, filter feeding, that's pretty cool. The fact that it's like pretty big is pretty cool. The fact that it's almost always
large filter feeders are pretty common, all things
considered. Okay, well then fine. 12 million. It's knocking off points here.
I'm going to give it a 10. It's fun. It's cool to look at.
The fact that it's called the Gilled One is...
The scientists were bored and
they were bored and they were just like, let's just get this done. It's a fish, Gillicus.
Yeah, they were out of ideas.
It's just like
large filter feeders are relatively common in nature.
Mm-hmm.
Its design's pretty nifty. I imagine it was built for some speed.
Oh, for sure. But the fact that we mainly know it as getting eaten by other creatures, that's pretty funny to me.
That's pretty sad.
I think it's funny. I think it can be a little sad, but I just think it's like the most common Gillicus skeletons are inside the skeletons of other. That's
Always.
Funny to me.
Always.
Okay, maybe it goes up a little bit. 16 million is what I'm going to say. And you said like about 10 million or something. Yeah, so thanks. All right. Well, that's it for this week. If you want to get a hold of the show, you can contact me at palebites.podcast@gmail.com. For any general questions to me or any of the co-hosts, you can find me on social media at Pale Bites Podcast on Instagram and TikTok, and Pale Bites Pod on Twitter. Where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram under NK Arts and Crafts.
Yes.
I'm on a new artisans platform called Kara. You can find me under the screen name Blues Arts and Crafts.
Nice. Yes.
And yes, I am also on Facebook.
Yes, but Facebook is just,
it's just there.
It's just there, and also, what the co-hosts are going to, and the listeners are going to send you a friend request. If you had a professional Facebook account, that's one thing. But if you,
I tried, but I keep forgetting it exists.
I always forget that I have a bunch of bot followers. It's like, oh, he has 6,000 followers on Facebook. I'm like, it's not organic. It's not organic. Trust me. So, but yeah. All right, well, that's it for this week. I have a book sale on Amazon Megazoic available for print and Kindle. While there is no Gillicus, there is Xiphactinus. It's often one that gets eaten by. I mentioned that once or twice in the episode.
Yeah,
in the
a couple of times.
Books, yeah, like because that Gillicus was around at this time. So, but yeah, alas, that's it for this week. I'll say at the end of the episode of Paleo Bites. Chomp. To that food chain map with all the fish eating. Yeah, that's Gillicus.
Chomp.
Chomp.
Yeah.
Oh man. Anyways, bye.